Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight. Back in business, Atlantis welcomes employees and guests. A former prime minister weighs in on government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. And a Kenyan citizen wins big in a Bahamian court ruling. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, a big day for the tourism industry as Atlantis Paradise Island reopened its doors to guests after being closed for 9 months. Our Kyle Joaquin joins us live from the Royal Towers tonight, where the mega resort gave guests and some 2,500 employees a warm Bahamian welcome. Kyle?
Well, Christina, guests are still checking in as we speak, but the first group of guests actually checked in around 11 this morning, and it was a pretty big group, a family of 14, believe it or not, and they were all pretty excited to just be here at Atlantis in the Bahamas to celebrate a big family occasion. For Melissa Diaz and their family of 14, their mother's 50th birthday bash had to be canceled in their hometown of Richmond, Virginia. But when they heard of Atlantis reopening and winter in the Bahamas, the party was back on.
But it's just nothing like being at Atlantis. Like, it's just, you just love it here. I mean, just everything. It's so much more family.
Just basically everything. I want to see them enjoying the pool, them going into the aquarium. It's just so much fun.
They were among the first guests to walk into the Royal Towers for Atlantis' big reopening day. Brittany Morton and Jason Jovag were here last year and decided to come back to find a nice venue for their wedding.
We wanted to get married here after our last experience. It was awesome. We loved it and wanted to come back and see what we could do about getting married.
But the day was also special for about 2,500 employees who returned to work after 9 months of uncertainty. They were greeted by hotel executives who lined up just to cheer them on. Some danced and some gave elbow daps. But it was a cheery mood as these employees finally approached the light at the end of the tunnel after a rough few months.
Man, it's awesome to be back to see all my teammates. I mean, it's so good to know that I can make an impact on this country. When our tourists come in, we're going to welcome them with a bang.
It's good to be back and good to be back to Atlantis. I feel glad to see everyone. It's like coming back home to family.
And what came as even better news, employees got correspondence today that they will receive a Christmas bonus, as well as grocery vouchers to get their usual ham and turkey. It came as welcome news as employees were just happy to get back to work.
It feels fantastic. It feels overwhelming because we get a chance to bring some sense of normalcy back to our lives.
Employees are tested for COVID-19 weekly, while guests are required to present their travel health visa, which has the negative result of their COVID test at check-in. Atlantis President Audrey Oswald says seeing those employees walk in with smiles on their faces warmed her heart.
Lots of goosebumps. It really made me feel good. We've been waiting for this a long time, and always top of my mind and in my heart has been the struggle that all of our team members and the community and the world in general has gone through. But it certainly hits home when you see people coming back to work and so excited about being here and so loyal and dedicated.
2,500 of the resort's 7,500 member staff returned for this first phase of reopening, which includes the Royal Towers and Harborside Marina. Oswald acknowledged that despite a slow start, projections show a better December than they had anticipated. But she says the reopening also comes with challenges, like limited airlift for potential guests who have expressed the need for more international flights.
Reservations and demand has been really strong. We're very pleased. In fact, December's turning out to be better than we originally forecasted. The one thing holding us back a little is airlift. We're still struggling with airlift, and we hope that our partners that have regular service into Nassau, Paradise Island will step out and take the risk that Atlantis has.
Now again, this is just phase one of the reopening. The Reef at Atlantis is scheduled to reopen next week on the 17th, and other aspects of the hotel as things progress. Back to you in studio, Christina.
Thanks, Kyle. What was it like entering the bubble?
Well, it was fairly interesting. As you know, to check in, guests have to present their travel health visa, which shows that they tested negative for COVID-19. And even us entering the Atlantis bubble, my cameraman and myself, we had to get our antigen test yesterday, so we had to get our nose plugged or whatever you call it and come on in. But still an enjoyable experience, uncomfortable, but we did what we had to do to get inside the Atlantis bubble.
Thank you again, Kyle. As we said, an exciting day for tourism in the country. In other news, former Prime Minister Perry Christie is weighing in on government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Christie says while everyone makes mistakes, he believes the government must be driven by science and not politics. Jasmine Brown reports.
The former Prime Minister, who has been pretty quiet in recent years, broke his silence today as he weighed in on those emergency orders and how the Minnis administration has handled the pandemic.
Governments always make mistakes when they do not work hard to ensure there is unanimity in some areas at the political level. The people are invariably the victims of any decision a government make if it is not a good decision.
Christie was asked for his thoughts on the Minnis administration's response to the COVID-19 pandemic outside the House of Assembly. The former Prime Minister spoke to reporters after he viewed the body of former MP and Speaker of the House of Assembly Oswald Ingraham. Though COVID-19 cases have slowed significantly, multiple restrictions remain in place on some islands, including a nightly curfew and the continued closure of some businesses. Christie says it is fundamental to ensure that decisions are driven by facts.
If you're going to say, I'm going to close the store at 6 o'clock, explain to me, and that store normally would close at 9, explain to me the science behind that decision. Do you know that those extra 2 hours would there have some implication to health, because the concern is health?
He added that what it should not be driven by is a political agenda.
The government must always be mindful of the importance of working hard to ensure that they are at one with the opposition, at one with civil society, so people could understand what is taking place. The most fundamental decision that the government must make is to be driven by science and not politics.
The government has been roundly criticized over the last few months over its handling of the pandemic. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis has said decisions he made were meant to protect the Bahamian people, but some observers have accused the Prime Minister of misusing his power.
I would like to believe that there are other persons in there who would be a task force, who we would see as a task force, and who would be leading, the decision making. And that's what's important, I think, to a country. And it's important that constructive criticism be accepted as constructive criticism.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, a 29-year-old man will spend Christmas behind bars after being charged in the magistrate's court today with the murder of his grandmother and the attempted murder of his mother. Bethany McDermott has the details.
29-year-old Rico Pratt, seen here in the black shirt, appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt on one count of murder and one count of attempted murder. It is alleged that on December 4, 2020, Pratt intentionally and unlawfully caused the death of his grandmother, Galena Pratt, and attempted to cause the death of his mother, Aretha Pratt. According to the police report, shortly before 10 a.m., officers received reports of a domestic dispute at a residence on Shabak Close off Bellet Road. Officers responded, and upon arrival, they found a woman's body lying in a pool of blood in the bathroom. Police say the victim received injuries from a sharp object. Investigations also revealed that another woman at the residence received injuries and was transported to hospital. In court today, Pratt was not required to enter a plea and bail was denied. He was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until April 22, 2021, when he will return to court for service of a voluntary bill of indictment. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
And the tourism minister responding to calls for the Hotel Corporation chairman to resign after he reportedly called the Grand Lucayan sale a bad deal. Giorgio Bain reports.
Following calls by PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell for Hotel Corporation Chairman Michael Scott to resign after calling the Grand Lucayan deal a bad deal, Minister of Tourism Dionisio de Aguilar revealing that he agrees with the Hotel Corporation Chairman that the prospects of the deal have changed due to COVID-19.
Projects are being delayed, not as ambitious as they once were. That's just the reality. And so it's not what we want, it's just what the cards we've been dealt. And we have to live with that reality. So, I understand the concern of the chairman that, it's not what he would have wanted. But I say that, and I agree with him 100% in that regard.
De Aguilar was responding to Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell, who doubled down on his calls for Scott to resign following his comments.
Will the government explain by the chairman of the Hotel Corporation, Michael Scott QC, continues to head the corporation in the face of his comment that the sale of the Grand Lucayan Hotel in Freeport, Grand Bahama, which he superintends, is a bad deal and requires an audit. But his minister, the Honorable Dionisio D. Aguilar, publicly contradicted that stated position in the press.
The tourism minister said he's waiting for the KPMG review. He stressed that it's important to understand that all components of the tourism industry are in distress, so the prospects of the deal have shifted.
A deal that relates to a tourism-related project in March is obviously, when you get down to December, going to be in a far less far less better position today than it was in March. So, we would all want to be back in March. But the reality is, COVID has come and devastated the tourism industry. Worldwide tourism is down 70%. So everybody has to factor that in to anything that's related to tourism.
According to D. Aguilar, the government is still pushing to have the sale completed in the shortest possible time, but he is encouraged that Royal Caribbean is still at the table despite the blow to the cruise industry. Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Thanks, Giorgio. A Kenyan man who was unlawfully detained and beaten at the Carmichael Road Detention Center won $641,000 in his case against the government. Jared Higgs has his story.
My time wasn't good in detention center. I was treated inhumanely. And when you ask me that question, I get emotional right away.
49-year-old Douglas Ngumi often gets emotional when he thinks of the treatment he endured at the Carmichael Road Detention Center. Ngumi, who was arrested in 2011, spent 6 years at the facility unlawfully, according to a recent ruling by Justice Indra Charles. The trial revealed that Ngumi had endured cruel and inhumane treatment, included repeated beatings while locked up at the facility.
When I was before I left, good treatment came. They rebuilt the buildings, the bathrooms started flashing, we was given good water, we was given the fire social services, and we got some to eat.
Life at the detention center, according to Ngumi, involved living in cramped living quarters with hundreds of others. He says he also contracted 2 diseases while there. His lawyers filed a claim for $11 million, but Justice Charles called that preposterous, instead awarding him $641,000.
In detention, I contracted diseases. First one is pink eye. Second one was the itch. Third one, I caught TB.
Ngumi's lifestyle while fighting the case was far from glamorous. He lived in the bus behind me, and he also goes hungry sometimes.
I was living in Jankano Beach for 3 months. They stole my shoes, my clothes. I was walking barefoot in Bay Street.
Ngumi eventually moved further into the inner city, where he bathes and cooks outside. Among his valuables is a cell phone, but he says he often loses them. He doesn't have documents, so he can't travel. He has family, including a daughter, in Kenya, who he hasn't seen in more than 20 years. For now, he's sleeping in his car.
I'm living so bad. A centipede bite me.
Ngumi had a work permit back in 2006. He was a bus driver in Kenya and says he's a skilled mechanic now. His $640,000 award is the largest of its kind in Bahamian history. Still, his lawyer, Fred Smith QC, says he's appealing the judge's ruling. For now, Ngumi says he's staying put.
Living here is not a problem. I just want fairness and justice for all people.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared. Well, it's the start of a beautiful evening. Here's Greg Thompson in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather brought to you tonight by Infogrowth. Those are cool temperatures. Mine, you got down to 59 early this morning. We are still in the 60s. 67 is our current temperature with just a few clouds outside. Winds are northeast at 5 knots, going to allow temperatures to cool off even further as the evening goes on. Satellite view around the islands. That frontal boundary is well out of our area. High pressure remains in charge. We're getting some cold air cumulus across our area, but those cold temperatures will remain with us for at least one more day. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, hundreds wait in line for much-needed grocery boxes. But first, remembering former House Speaker Oswald Ingraham. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drear, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
Former Speaker of the House of Assembly and Deputy Governor General James Oswald Ingraham was remembered by former colleagues today as patriotic, community-minded, and a fair leader. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie says he was a Christian, businessman, and community leader who served Eleuthera in an excellent way.
We were honored as a parliament to elect him the Speaker of the House of Assembly. And when we see people like Hubert Ingraham coming in who presided and was in the House when he was Speaker, he was known for his fairness, his discipline, his easy temperament, being able to get on with anyone and not being flustered easily.
Ingraham served as the PLP MP for Central and South Eleuthera from 2002 to 2012. He also served as the 50th Speaker of the House of Assembly from 2002 to 2007. He died on November 23rd at the age of 83. House Speaker Halson Moultrie says Ingraham left his mark on Bahamian politics.
As a patriotic Bahamian, the Bahamas has lost one of its better sons, and Eleuthera definitely has lost a very patriotic Eleutheran, and he will be missed.
PLP leader Philip Davis described Ingraham as a vanguard of change who played his part in the struggle for majority rule.
And in the exercise of his duties, he discharged those duties with dignity, grace, and recognizing the hallowed principles of democratic principles.
Well, for the second week, hundreds toed a long line to receive grocery assistance from IL Cares. Those who didn't have cars either tried to hike a ride with those on the line or borrowed a bike to receive a package.
I think to collect a bit of grocery, which I'll be very grateful for.
Very nice gesture and something that's very much needed at this time during the COVID pandemic. It's going to help me greatly because I'm going to share the items that are in the box.
Okay. Though it was a long wait, many say they didn't mind it.
It can help me good.
How long have you been on this line?
I see for more than 3 hours.
That Island Luck choose to do this in this kind of time because this will go a long way, and the owner of Island Luck will be remembered for the good deeds that he has been doing.
Have you been working throughout the pandemic?
Well, I'm off for a year.
We've got a lot more news on the way, but first, here's your RF Market Watch.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Catching up with Bahamian basketball players, plus Christmas tree farmers pining for more trees. Stay with us.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Chair. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
This is our news. Welcome back. For those who enjoy waiting until the last minute to go Christmas tree shopping, you may want to reconsider. Christmas tree farmers say they're experiencing a shortage this holiday season. Jillian Gray tells us why.
Bahamians all across the island have begun to deck the halls and trim the trees, which you may think is a good thing for Christmas tree farmers, but they say with the scarcity of Christmas trees, this year has presented a peculiar challenge.
You know, when I first started Christmas trees 15 years ago, a tree that we normally would have sold for maybe $40 is probably now, over the years, because of the shortage, that probably would be now about $70. So
currently it's a steady pace. However, due to COVID, trees have went up 25% this year, and there's a scarcity of trees. So that means each year, if you've noticed, trees have been going shorter and shorter.
Usually Bridget Goodridge would bring in 4 to 5 containers of trees, but was only able to secure 2 this year.
Most of my customers will be coming in here this weekend, and I am going to have to sit here, and they're going to go on with a cry because it happened before, and I am so sorry, but we tried to find more trees, but there were just no trees available.
It was the same for Ryan Turnquest, who said he actually sold more trees this year than in previous years.
we normally do 6 loads. So we reduced it this year to 4. And this is the first time I've been doing it for 15 years that we have sold out in the middle of the season 3 times. So fortunately, we have been able to obtain the additional trees to finish the season off.
Christmas trees begin at $50 down at Christmas Tree City 242 and $60 at Yandy's Christmas Tree Farm, where only 13 trees were left when our news stopped by today.
We'll be sold out from then, so we encourage people to hurry up, come out, grab their tree, get the biggest tree. You know, you want to come before Christmas. You know?
Today will be our last day because these are all the trees we have left. What you see here, we only have small trees left.
While Christmas tree farmers are happy for the sales, they say it's the customers who will go without this year that they're worried about. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Thanks, Jillian. Well, in sports tonight, a number of the country's basketball players coming up big in victories for their respective teams. Marcellus Hall has the highlights.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Starting you off, Hoops News, as we have a number of our basketball players, the non-NBA variety, in action around the globe. Some of them in Japan and some right in the collegiate regions in Texas and otherwise. Let's take a look and see exactly how they've been doing. Kai Jones and the 13th-ranked Texas Longhorns back in action last night. Longhorns taking on Texas State in their final non-conference matchup before the start of conference play. Longhorns getting the comfortable win here, 74-53, the final score. Jones, he would finish with 8 points and 4 rebounds. Texas improves to 5-1 ahead of a game against second-ranked Baylor on Sunday. Meanwhile, Valerie Nesbitt playing for the Ole Miss Lady Rebs under Bahamian coach Yolette McPhee-McEwen. Nesbitt 6 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds off the bench in a 101-48 blowout win over Alcorn State. From the pro ranks, big man Kadeem Colby went into beast mode. He dropped in 18 points to go along with 12 rebounds and 10 assists. That was a triple-double. Came in a win over Japanese League defending champions Alvarac Tokyo, 89-70. And Week 14 of the NFL season starts tonight with the New England Patriots taking on the LA Rams. Patriots are 6-6. They're third in the AFC East. Rams leading the NFC West at 8-4. All right, so there you have it. We'll have a full breakdown of what's coming up for you tomorrow, as well as a look at the locker room, which is going to be exciting tomorrow. Make sure you tune into that Friday evening at 6:30. Meanwhile, that's your check on sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, Greg Thompson is back in the weather studio, plus boring face masks get an upgrade. The details when our news returns.
Just when you thought the year would end drought, Rev came through with Magic and Holiday Cheer. Our cashback will double, making more spirits rise, with chances to spin and with a dope random prize. The rules are quite simple. You can find them online. Just sign up for Trio and pay your Rev bill on time. Our grocery store dash is sure to bring smiles as 16 lucky winners tear through the aisles. Call 601-8992 or visit rev.vs/promotions to find out how you can win with Rev's Field of Magic giveaway. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back to our news. A look at the weather ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with that.
Thanks again, Christina. In our second look at weather, we take a look at our satellite around the region. High pressure, the dominant weather feature, keeping us rather nice and comfortable over the next couple of days before we start to see a warm-up. Frontal boundary well to the south across Hispaniola, not really providing any weather for us. But temperatures once again will make it back to near the 80-degree mark as the weekend approaches. Your boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the north and northeast at 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet. They will fall light and variable at times. While in the central and southeastern islands, we have a caution flag posted for you guys down there. Northeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas will be running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. Now we'll look at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a great night, everyone. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, a school principal and mom of 2 has found a creative outlet in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. Meridian School Principal Lisa Goody says in addition to juggling home and work life, she's found the time to use her skills to create handmade silk-painted masks. She dubbed them Thula masks.
It's certainly not been easy. Suddenly finding yourself at home working full-time, plus having 2 children of my own, one in grade 6 and one in her senior year at high school. It's certainly come with its challenges of just, finding the space, first of all, so that we all have our individual areas where we can work effectively. And then, throwing cooking into that and everything else that it takes to run a household. It's certainly been a journey, but it's come with lots of positives too, because it has meant that I've spent more time with my children.
Goody says she was inspired to create the masks after a lot of downtime.
I've really got back into my silk painting, which is something that I studied when I was at college. And from there, I started to just create silk and just do random patterns however I was feeling and kind of express myself through my silk paintings. And from that, I decided, let me see if I could maybe make a couple of masks and see what they would look like. And I gifted a couple to my friends, and they've been wearing them and kind of supporting me as they always do. And from that stemmed the idea of Tula masks.
Thank you for joining us for News Tonight. I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. On the Record with Jerome Sawyers coming up next. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.